I love forms, you love forms, we all love forms. There's really no better way out there than Google Forms for being able to collect information from a survey and have it get funneled into a spreadsheet. But when you're informally observing a teacher, you don't just want to collect all the information centrally for you. It'd be really awesome if each individual teacher could have their own record of what you observed. That way, they can go back and see the feedback you've given them over the course of a year or longer, and you can get back and use that information if you need to apply it to an evaluation at the end of the year. So let's talk about how to do that. There's two things going on here. One, this form, we're going to need to know how to edit it, and that's here. And two, I'm going to jump over to my Google Drive and see that I created a folder called Observations. Most administrators I've talked to have a folder like this, and in it, there's an individual document for the name of everybody I'm supposed to observe. Set up those individual documents by just going New, Google Docs, and then titling the document with the name of the individual. Once you set up your folder here, and of course let me go back, and of course if it didn't automatically go into that folder, move it into your Observations folder. Let me find it down here. Observations. Oh, there we go. It's already in there. Fantastic. Now, let's come back to our checklist. You're going to want to use, in order to get the information from your form onto that doc for, say, Bob Smith that I just created there, you're going to use an add-on called Doc Appender. If you don't see Doc Appender in your add-ons, go to Add-ons, look for it, add it. But I'm going to go to Doc Appender right here because I do see it, and go Open Sidebar. And predictably, a sidebar will appear right here. The directions are great, so I'm going through them now, but seriously, just read the directions and you'll know what's going on. And the directions ask me, where do I want the information that this form collects to go? And as you may have guessed, I'm going to pick from Drive because I want it to go into that handy-dandy Observations folder. So I'm going to look and find my Observation folder here. If I don't see it, I can start typing Observations. There we go. That's my folder. I'm going to click on it and press Select. And my selected folder will be here. If I didn't have one, of course, I could create a new one as well. Then I'm going to go Next and select a question. Now, every time I've clicked on it, it never has any questions because I got to press this little Refresh List button. No worries. Press it until you see questions. In this case, I only have one. It's called Teacher Name, and I'm going to pick it. And then I'm going to press Save and Populate Selected Question. Now, and keep an eye over here. In fact, I'm even going to scroll down so you can keep an even better eye on it. Save and Populate Selected Questions and see what happens. Think. Everybody in my Observation folder, each of these different names right here, has now popped into my questions. Then I press Next. And it's going to ask form values on targeted list. I'm going to do timestamp and teacher name. But of course, you could have lots of, there's lots of fields that you'd be recording for this teacher. And you have three formats to choose from. Separate bulleted lists, separate vertical tables, and rows in a horizontal table. If each individual observation you want it to be its own write-up, you would do separate bulleted lists. If you want to have all that data recorded in a table, rows in a single horizontal table. I'm going to pick rows in a horizontal table. And then press Enable. Now it's giving me a heads up here. Hey, what we did worked. Now let's go back to our form and prove it. I'm going to refresh my form here. Here my guys are. I'm going to pick good old Bob Smith and press Submit. And then come over to this form here and there we go. And it popped in. If I had chosen individual data, it would have all been individual feedback. And I can title this Bob Smith. I can even make the text look nice and pretty at the top. And it will work every time I go back in and submit another response for good old Bob Smith. All my data will continue to pop on this page. And that's how you use Doc Appender to support informal observations.